Greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society, and I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about another case of these caved-in bicuspids, where the bicuspids upper and lower are both pushed in, and how they happen. I wondered about this for quite a while before I figured it out, and it just happened that I was sleeping one night and I kind of halfway woke up and I had a tremendous vacuum pulled in my mouth by your tongue. If you have a good seal in your mouth and you swallow 2 or 3 times, and it'll pull a vacuum inside your mouth, and this pulls the cheeks in and the weaker teeth move in with it. And there's a lot of cases I saw like that, and I couldn't figure out how on earth nobody's going to push them in or sleep on them and make them go in like that. But this vacuum is pulled by the tongue, forming a vacuum in your mouth if you have a good seal there, and it'll form this vacuum, and this pressure pushes the teeth in. And by the way, the bone moves in with the teeth. And if you expand it out, the bone moves out with the teeth. And I don't care how old they are, whatever age, if you put the extra pressure on the teeth in one way or the other, that moves this way. Now in the cheeks, there's no strong muscles out here, so if you move teeth out there, the bone will just move out with it. Now in the front, and especially on the lower, and if you're moving lower teeth forward, you're going to have to run a interference for those teeth so that the soft vascular bed can move in front and to develop the bone as it goes. If you keep it tight against it, it won't go out there, or else it'll cut the tooth through the bone. If you want one tooth to go through the bone, you just move the one tooth, and the rest of them stay there. But if you move the whole group, the bone structure goes with the teeth. And that happens in hundreds of these cases if you look at it carefully, where we've expanded the arch in the adult people. So let's look at this case. There are several other important things going wrong with this particular case, and I'll try to show those too. We'll try to get my little our arrow here so I can draw on here and show this. This is a nice young man. He's got a good facial height right in here. No problem with that. The face and everything is nice, but he has a terrible deep bite, and he also has the jaw kind of trapped back in doing that. Let's look at the other side of the mouth. Now on the right side of the mouth, the cuspid is way up here, and it should be in this groove right here. It should be going down right there. The bite is deep. These teeth are right down, you don't even see the lower teeth. So the bottom jaw is trapped back here and has to stay there. And if you free this up or raise these teeth and lower the lower anterior teeth or open the bite, then the jaw will tend to move forward. But we want to move it forward on one side only, and we're going to have to broaden this out. Let's look at the other side of the mouth now. It's kind of caved in here. And if you're looking at it from the front, we're looking straight down, and this is a terrible deep bite case. But these teeth, you'll notice the bicuspids are going in like this. The cuspids are stronger, the molars are stronger, and they don't go in as much, but the bicuspids do go in over here, and they go in over this other side also. And I'm going to go over to the left side of the mouth now, and this side looks good. I mean, these teeth are fitting in here real nice, except these are going in, and these are going in down here, but this is in a class 1 relation. And so you've got a deep bite in a class 1, and so you've got to have a lot of crowding down here, and we're going to have to move these teeth up where they'll be out in front, and that'll let this go up. The whole, both lower and upper will go forward at the same time. Now let's look at the other aspects of this. When you look straight down on the teeth, you see the cuspids are kind of crowded out right in here, and you want these teeth out in this area. What makes these teeth go in like that? I could not figure that out. There's nothing I could think of. If you could do your muscles or do anything other than that night, I woke up about halfway awake, and I felt it. My mouth was just in a terrific vacuum in there. The tongue will pull a vacuum in your mouth. If you keep close to it, you have a good seal here, and you swallow 2 or 3 times or something, and you'll just have a big vacuum inside the mouth here, pulling both sides in, and the weaker things move in. The bicuspids are weaker than the molars and the cuspids, and so they have moved in. And you will see this on many cases, and a lot of times you don't even realize what happens. So that is the thing that happens, and that's what we're going to come in and expand both sides, and we're going to correct the class 2 problem on the one side here. So both of these things will be done in the case. And just point this out. Now, when you're watching these, if you'll just raise that little red line and go along with it, it'll give you each individual picture slowed down. Now let's see if that's in like that. On the bottom, the bicuspids are in also, same way, even though this side was class 1, we've got a good bit of crowding down here now, and we're going to have to intrude these teeth and intrude the upper teeth too, so we put intruding arches on there to raise those teeth. And here is the case. We started it, and you put a regular little flexible wire in here, and it does a whole bunch of things. And then we put these intruding arches. They go up like this and down like this, and we raise those up and hook them, and you can open anybody's bite. I don't care how deep they are, how old they are, or where it is. If they've got good bone structure and you don't have ankylosed teeth in there, if you've got ankylosed teeth, you've got to break them loose, but you can open the bite on anybody. These teeth right here were down over this, and these lower teeth were up in the roof of the mouth here, and this will bring this down and this up. And we've shown you how we came to find that out about that case, that we put this older guy, took off, and didn't come back for 6 months. He came back because he couldn't bite his front teeth together. And that's how this was back about 40 years. So we've been using these intruding arches. Now, if you want to push these teeth, the lower teeth down, the molars have to be the source of this force going down. So when I pull this wire down, raise it up, it tends to bring these teeth down, but it tends to bring the molars up. So in this particular case, we bonded blocks back in here. If you put these bonded blocks in here, you will bite on them tremendous amount. I mean, if you don't think that's true, you just put some blocks on your teeth and close together back here, and you go for a few weeks with it, and you will actually intrude your molar teeth. You overuse the closing mechanism, your muscles in here put those teeth down, and that's why this class 2 gadget they put on there, it doesn't mess with the molars because the people are biting on the molar teeth. Now you watch these teeth go down and these go up, and then we're going to leave this side of class 1 and we're going to pull this over and there. See, the midline is off right here just a little bit, right in that area right there. Let's erase that and we'll go to the next view. Now this is on the right side, and it shows you these springs that we just make. You take an arch wire like that, and then when you go back in here, and when you pull this down, it tightens that spring up. And this one was down here, and this around here, you pull it up, tightens that spring, and that tends to lift the teeth. But then we've got this block on here, and it's chewing down, and we're using the muscle structure in the jaw to maintain this, because it's a lot harder to intrude a tooth than it is to extrude one. But the person is biting in here and holds those teeth in place, and this will go up too, and this tries to go down, but it can't because it's got all this occlusion pressure on this. And if we do that, that frees this mandible up, and it can come forward a little bit because it's being held back right in here. Now, this is a slightly complicated case, and I don't advocate people just starting out jumping on cases like this. Do the easy stuff because you know what you're doing in here, and then you can study these videos. If you just go in when you're reading the video and you've got a little red line across here, if you raise that up, it'll slow the thing down, and you can see each individual picture as you go through this. And if you don't get it the first time, you just back it up wherever you want to and start and stop, and you can see it so that you can figure out what we are doing here. Now these intruding arches, you come out, and these are I believe this is a round or maybe a rectangular wire, but it comes here and is wrapped like that, goes up and is in here. And when you pull this wire up and hook it up, it tightens that spring up, and this bend in here, and that force will intrude the lower teeth, and also it'll intrude the upper as you bring it down like that. And then we're going to round this out, and then change that problem where the vacuum has pushed the teeth in like that. Now that's a little bit out of focus, but you can see this wire that's coming in here, drop down, and it comes out, and this has to go in here. It tightens that spring up. You have another arch wire in here, a little flexible wire that you run into the braces, and it does about 8 or 10 things where it rotates and levels tooth to tooth, and I can go over about 10 things with you that actually can take place with it. You just put it on there, and it'll start doing that. And we put this on the first day, just start the whole thing. I can level a bite with these intruding arch wires and put the other wire on to straighten the teeth out a lot while we're doing it, and you can have the bite leveled by somebody else that's got only one arch wire there. Get started with it, and that speeds up your arch in the case about a couple of months or more in there. So I hope you learn how to do that. Now let's go to the next one. Here we're going down with it. This little flexible wire, see, is bringing these teeth up. lining them this way, and the rotations, and all these things are straightening out while we're doing this. And we've got this larger wire on the outside, and we're going to be moving these teeth out as we go along with this. And you watch this happen, and you can keep up the time we're working on them in here. How do they say? On the bottom, the teeth are crowded, the cuspids are rotated, and you're going to go down with them. As you go down with the teeth, you're going to have room in there. You're going to line them up, and you're going to move the side that's slightly class 2. You'll move the bottom teeth forward, the upper teeth come back a wee bit, and they'll fit together over there. Now, I don't mean to scare people off from trying to do cases like this, but I do think if you're just a general dentist or somebody that's trying to learn orthodontics, and you're starting off, stay with the simple, easy cases. Now I've got this bracket wrong here. You see this tooth should be down there. You see that bracket is too close to the edge. There's more there. That's just a simple mistake that I made. I'll have to balance that out when we finish that by making a little raised part in that tooth right there and correct that problem. Stuck the bracket on there wrong. And we're using double brackets here. Now we just use single brackets nearly all the time now. All right, let's get on with the next case. Here we're lowering the bite. We're opening the bite. And now it's getting down closer. And as we put this pressure on these teeth, they rear back, and you got space in here. It comes in here. We take the blocks off after a while, and we're going to enlarge these brackets. So watch that. And we'll pull those back. Up above, we had no block. They were just biting against that. So your upper teeth moved a little bit, and it separated right here. You did not have that separation when we started. And we've still got to enlarge these bicuspids. And this young man has that vacuum form in those teeth. And now on the bottom, these molars couldn't move. The bicuspids and the molars are covered with this just plain acrylic. We show you how to put those blocks on, and they control the vertical dimension of the face. In other words, you can open the bite and not raise the gonal angle back here at all. In other words, you'll keep the same distance, or you might even reduce it, putting these blocks on somebody. And if you take a high angle case and you haven't done any of this, don't mess with the high angle cases. Let somebody that knows and has done them and knows, but you got the bond blocks back on the back on the high angle cases. And you hold these teeth down, and you can intrude the teeth, and these won't move down at all, and you'll maintain this space between the nose and the chin. And that's an important thing to know how to do if you're doing high angle cases. In other words, somebody with a long lower third of the face. Now let's get on down with it. That's the block. He's biting on those blocks right now and keeping that in place. That's a mirror stuck in the mouth, and we're actually looking at these teeth right here straight on by this mirror that's down in here. We're looking in the mirror to show you the side of the teeth. Now that's this intruding arch. And this is a round arch wire, but I prefer using a rectangular wire. It won't roll on you. But this comes out, you drop it down, you come around like that, and you go, and maybe we made 2 rounds there, and bring that up. And when you bring this wire from Down here, you bring it up here. This tightens that spring, and the spring works for you. If you tighten it up, it wants to loosen itself. And this is a mirror shot. The mirror's been here, and you're looking at these teeth, but actually you're seeing them straight on. And that's where you stick a big mirror on the side of the cheek to make that, get that picture like that. And this little wire right here has some expansion on it, and it's going around working on all the teeth in there while you're doing this. In other words, you put two things to work at one time, and you can flatten the mouth out and rotate the teeth and finish a case like this 2 to 3 months for somebody that's just got one arch wire trying to do this with them. So learn how to do. You've got a tube here for this auxiliary wire, and this is a convertible tube in here, so we can put the second molar in there. We have to have a convertible tube there. So I know this looks complicated, and I don't want to scare somebody off from doing orthodontics, but you get to learn how to do the stuff first, putting it in, and then you can advance into things like this. Now this is the left side of the mouth, and this was right when we started, and we are opening the bite, and it's going to stay there. We keep that correct. And now we look at the case. We have now the teeth are lined up out here. While we were doing these other things, we were bringing these teeth out. We were intruding the arch. We made room, and we straightened these teeth out. The cuspids are lined up pretty good now, and the teeth are in place. Now that's where we're going to bring this down and keep this from going up. And we bring the uppers up and keep the upper from coming down. And we'll end up, now we'll take this off the upper arch, and when you've got brackets, you can put them exactly where you want them, and you bring the person in there, they'll look at it, and if they accept it, then you take the impression of the teeth, and you take the brackets off of your model when you make the retainer, and you fix the retainer. Now we go back now and solder that retainer back here instead of here. I know this solder would break once in a while. I've never had these break where you solder them together. Okay, this is a 018 wire coming across here. It's 018, and this back here is an 036. It goes around in the retainer. Now we've opened the bite. Remember, these teeth were down here somewhere. Well, they moved up and the lures went down, so it's about splitting the difference in there, in that area. Now you've got that going, and we get that finished up, and we've got the bands off the top, and we'll have a band where you take it off, you squeeze this together, and it'll pull that molar up and contact the other two. And then you keep the model you made that retainer on. And then you come back if someone has a problem with it. Now this is the side we were going back with this. We didn't get quite to a class 2. You see, it's coming in a little bit. So we needed to get a little better class 2 relation over here. The midline may be slightly off on that, but let's see. Well, on this picture now, we've taken the bottom out, and this is right on the money. That's coming in on. But don't solder this. Run this wire back and have your loop in the 018, and then solder the two wires together. I just never have those break. These would break once in a while, right there. Now I've got these teeth on the lower anterior coming in, and I'll take an impression, and we'll put a bonded 3 to 3 on the lower anterior. And this was the class 1 side, and it's still class 1. Look at this vacuum. All right, here we were when we started. The teeth were here, and we moved them to there. And we intruded, and we didn't make these come together anymore, so the vertical height of the face is like it was to start with, or you can actually reduce it some. And if you don't think you press these teeth hard, just go bond you some blocks back here, and I'll guarantee you, you will mash those teeth down, and they'll be together. You'll intrude your molars, and these up here to come together, of course, if you don't have anything in your mouth on that. But we've opened this bite, we've done this whole thing, we changed the torque on those teeth. If you go back, look how the teeth tucked in like this, now they're coming out this other way. And we did that by intruding them, and they're out away from it, and the intrusion of the teeth caused them to torque them out. And we may have put a little torque in the archwire, but you don't really need to. If you just raise them up, you're out in front of the rotation point, and the teeth will come to a correct position there. Now, if that guy wears this retainer with a bite plate, he's going to have to wear it until actually the bite gets used to this bite, and it'll stay. But he has to keep this around, and it'll gradually come out of it over a period of time. If it deepens any, he's going to know it, because he'll be biting with his front teeth, and the jaw joint back here will give him some trouble. So you wear it until the bite quits trying to go down. And people ask, how long do you have to wear a retainer? There's no set time on anybody. So anybody that just gives you a retainer and says, wear this so much, that is not the way. You're going to have to use this retainer until the whole bite gets accustomed to that, and it just stops trying to go down. And you can take it out and tell. So let me get on here with the next. That was off, it was class 2. Now that's on that side. And the teeth that were down here are up, and those are down, and we've got a over jet and an over bite, where when he bites his teeth out here together, he'll close his front teeth, but nothing will touch back here, so you can bite with your front teeth. But you can't bite as hard, because the muscles are pulling this pressure. If you have about 10 pounds of pressure out here to cut through something, you may have 25 or more pounds back on the disc, back in the back, for you to get that much. That's just a little added thing to find out. That's what we want to do. And you treat the case where you can bite from one side, and the other side doesn't hurt. Right over here, these don't touch. Bite your front teeth, these don't touch. Back in the back. And that's where you come out and figure out how they close those teeth together. This side is on when we start, but the teeth are down here. This angle, these teeth, the roots are going up like this. See? And now watch the teeth change positions as they go up. And you see how this was locked in the jaw back here. We raise it up, and these teeth will pull it up from this point, and the rotation is something like that. So the teeth are going to torque out themselves. As I watch that move up as well, that's from the side, you don't see it quite as plain, but these teeth are out now, and this can move up into that space. Now we look here, these bicuspids are caved in, and now they're out. look at this tooth and look at the angle that you see it. Go back and look at, and you see the tooth was tilted lingually. As you raise it, the teeth move out, and you torque it to what you really want it to end up being, and then you make your retainer, and they have to wear that, and they may wear it for several years if they tend to slide back out of that. Now this tooth is dead here, but we did not cause it to die. It just died it was dead to start with. So we put a retainer with a biplate, if that were in there, the lower teeth fitted in a groove up there. That is the whole of it. Don't solder here, solder back here. This is 028 wire, and this is 036. When it's coming out like this. You just don't have much trouble. You need a bigger wire in the back. It needs to run up in here and keep from breaking this thing off like that. Now there's the way the lower teeth were. You see how these were in. You come back, they're lined up now. And you'll have to use this retainer, and you keep the model you made the retainer on. If you're sending them off to somebody, make them send you the model that they make the retainer. Somebody comes in, they leave the retainer out, these teeth will move, and they say they don't fit, they think the retainer is warped or something. Take your, say, bring them a retainer, put the retainer on the model that you made it on, and it fits perfectly well. You say this is the way it was when it was made, so you have not had this retainer in your mouth enough, and they move. So don't, just keep the model you make the retainer on. And here's the young man after we finished. The vertical height of the face is perfectly fine. We did not open this. We didn't have him coming down here like that. He would not have looked good. So I appreciate you watching these videos, and I'm sorry that I can't do them in 2 or 3 minutes and really tell you what happens in here. When you watch this video, if you put your stylus or your arrow on the little line, and if you raise that up, it'll do it one slide at a time as you go across it. You can back it up, go forward, and you can tell exactly how I did it and what it is. So I want to teach people wherever you are. It doesn't make any difference how old you are. You can do these things as long as you're living. And this is just a wrong thing where we say you're 25 or you're 40, your teeth won't move, or you're 50, 60, 80. I've not done anybody in the 90s. I've started them, but I've got them into the 90s. And I know if I put force on my teeth, they would move today. And I'm 95. And that I will be in April, the 28th. I'll be 95 years old, and my teeth would still move. And if you move a whole group of them, the bone would move with the teeth. If you move just one and leave the others there, you might pull that tooth through the bone. And so when you're putting these big daddy arch wires on, you need to put a rectangular wire, and from the cuspid back, put some buccal root torque. So you bring the tooth out bodily. Don't tilt it out this way. The roots will go in. I can't stress how much you can learn just knowing exactly what went on in this particular case. If you take this and really learn what happens in here, you will know a lot about orthodontics and how this came about right here. This guy forms a vacuum in his mouth, and then it'll push force out here. If you try to expand this a lot, especially down here, you're going to have to put a lip bumper to run interference for it. But the jaws are soft, and the teeth can move out this way without any kind of lip bumper or cheek bumper. You don't have to have it. You can move them out into the cheek, and the soft bed goes with the teeth as they move. So, I don't know, I'm going to need to shut this down. Thank you for watching, and I hope to goodness you will learn to do orthodontics properly, and you can do just almost anything to the teeth within reason at any age. And if they're ankylosed, you got to break them loose, but you don't run into that too much. So we'll say goodbye and thanks, and join our group. I want you to subscribe to our group, and we would like to change orthodontics, how it's done. There's just so many things they tell you that that's the way they've been taught, that this wouldn't happen. See, this bone structure is moved out with those teeth. It didn't stick it off out here. These teeth went out. I moved these two together, and that went out with it. And that happens. I think that's the end of the story, so I'm going to say goodbye, and I want you to subscribe to our deal, and I would like for more people to study these videos, and you can learn orthodontics. You need to go take some courses or have somebody stand over your back and show you how to do it. But if you're really sharp at learning how to bend the wire and stuff, you can learn it almost on your own if you just sit down and study these videos. So I'll hush and go on and close this thing out.